The story of China, how a poor country became one of the world's most powerful countries. There was a time when many people in the world thought that China would never be a great power. But in just a few decades, that country changed the rules of the world's economy, technology, and production. The question is, how? The China we see today was not always like this. Just a few decades ago, a large part of the country was dependent on agriculture. Many people lived in poverty, and the number of modern industries was very small. But then a remarkable change began. The government began economic reforms. Foreign companies were allowed to set up factories. Gradually, the world's big brands began to manufacture their products in China. Because production costs were relatively low there, and a large number of workers were ready to work. Within a few years, China began to be called the world's factory. From toys to smartphones, from clothing to household appliances, numerous products of the world began to be manufactured in China. But China did not want to be just a country of factories. They built modern infrastructure in hundreds of cities. They built thousands of kilometers of high-speed railway lines. Huge ports, airports and bridges were built. At the same time, large investments began in education, research and technology. Today, China is also playing a major role in areas such as artificial intelligence, electric cars, drones, renewable energy and space research. In many areas, they are competing with the world's top countries. However, this rise has also been controversial. There are various discussions and disagreements around China around the world on these issues: economy, trade, technology, geopolitics and international relations. Still, one thing is hard to deny. Very few countries in history have been able to show such a huge economic and industrial change in a few decades. So the question is this the end destination for China? Or will the country bring even bigger changes in the coming decades? This story is not over yet. Hashtag China's story, how a poor country became one of the world's most powerful countries, Part 2. But the question is, was such a big change possible only because of producing goods at low cost? The answer is no. China understood that a country could not remain a world leader for a long time with cheap labor alone. So they set several big goals together. The first goal was industrialization. The second goal was modern infrastructure. And the third goal was investment in education and technology. New industrial zones began to be created across the country. Special economic zones were established in coastal cities, where various facilities were provided for foreign investors. The world's largest companies began to set up factories there one after another. Every day, millions of people moved from villages to cities in search of work. New roads, new factories and new housing, everything seemed to be built together. Gradually, not only toys or clothes, but also computers, smartphones, electronic equipment, solar panels and complex industrial products began to be manufactured in China. As a result, China's exports began to increase rapidly. A familiar inscription began to appear on products sold in countless stores around the world, "Made in China." Along with this change, the country's economy also began to expand rapidly. Billions of people were lifted out of poverty, new jobs were created, and many cities transformed into modern metropolises within a few years. However, China was not only thinking about the present. They were also planning for the future. The government began to invest heavily in education, science, and research. New universities, research laboratories, and technology institutes were established. The younger generation was encouraged to study engineering, science, and technology. At the same time, the country's transportation system also underwent radical changes. Thousands of kilometers of expressways were built. Modern ports made international trade faster. And high-speed trains connected different cities in such a way that travel times of several hours were reduced to minutes in many cases. This vast infrastructure not only made it easier for people to travel, but also greatly increased the speed of trade and industrial production. However, as China's power grew faster, the world's eyes began to fall on them. Many countries are starting to question, is China just an economic power, or is it on its way to becoming the world's most influential country in the future? And right from that moment, another new chapter began, the technology race. By investing heavily in artificial intelligence, electric cars, advanced chips, drone technology, and space research, China wanted to show that they were no longer just the world's factory, they also wanted to become one of the world's most innovative powers. But will this ambitious journey be successful? Or are new challenges waiting ahead? We will know that story in the next episode. Hashtag China's story, how a poor country became one of the world's most powerful countries, Part 3. When China became one of the world's largest manufacturing countries, a new question arose before them. Is it possible to ensure the future by only producing products for other countries? China's answer was, no. They understood that technology would lead the future. And that is why a new competition began. Huge investments were made in research, innovation, and high technology across the country. New technology parks were built. Universities, research institutes, and private companies began working together to create new innovations. Then came the era of artificial intelligence or AI. Self-driving cars, facial recognition technology, smart cameras, industrial robots, and advanced software, China continued to advance rapidly in these areas. Many factories built production lines where robots worked alongside humans. At the same time, China began to invest heavily in electric vehicles. The use of electric buses, taxis, and private cars began to increase rapidly in many major cities around the world. As a result, the country has also reached an important position in clean energy and battery technology. But not only on the ground, China has also begun to show its capabilities in the sky. They have made rapid progress in drone technology. The use of drones in agriculture, rescue operations, map-making, filmmaking and industry has increased. At the same time, there have been great successes in the space program. Hashtag China's story, how a poor country became one of the world's most powerful countries, Part 4. China's rapid rise is not just an economic story. It is a transformation that has also raised new questions about the balance of power in the world. When China's economy was growing rapidly, many countries around the world viewed it as a major trading partner. But over time, the situation began to change. China was not just producing goods cheaply. It was also expanding its own technology, industry, and global influence. This began a new competition. The world's major economies, especially the United States, began to closely monitor China's rapid progress. Technology, artificial intelligence, advanced semiconductors, electric cars, and telecommunications, these areas became the centers of future economic and strategic power. At the same time, China increased investment in infrastructure construction in different regions of the world. It tried to strengthen its position in international trade by building new ports, railways, roads, and commercial connections. As a result, many countries gained new economic opportunities. Some countries also expressed concerns about debt, dependency, and strategic implications. Meanwhile, the South China Sea, the Taiwan question, trade policy, and technological competition, these issues further complicate international relations. However, China's vision was clear: it wanted to strengthen its economy, technology, and global position. During this time, the country also began to invest heavily in renewable energy. It became one of the world's leading powers in the production of solar power, wind power, and electric vehicles. At the same time, through advanced manufacturing, robotics, and automated factories, it wanted to show that it was ready to play an important role in the future industrial revolution. But even after all this success, new challenges loomed ahead. An aging population, a declining birth rate, changes in global trade, competition from advanced technologies, and maintaining the pace of economic growth, these questions are now crucial to China's future. So the question is, Can China continue at the same pace in the coming decades? Or will the new reality make its path to development more difficult? We will seek the answer to this question in our final episode, where we will discuss China's future, prospects, and the future balance of power in the world. China's story: how a poor country became one of the world's most powerful countries, Part 5 end. In today's world, China is not just a country, it is a hub for economic, technological, and global influence. A country that struggled with poverty, limited industry, and an agrarian economy just a few decades ago has become one of the world's largest economies. Billions of people have been lifted out of poverty, countless modern cities have sprung up, and China has established a leading position in technology and manufacturing. But the road ahead is not easy. China's population is aging, its birth rate is falling, and its economic growth is slower than ever. At the same time, competition between major powers over technology, trade, and international relations is intensifying. Yet China continues to invest in new sectors. It is moving forward with long-term plans in artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, electric vehicles, renewable energy, quantum technology, and space exploration. The world is now at a time when the decisions of one country can affect the economy, business, and technology of another. That is why every major move by China is closely watched around the world. So what could happen in the future? Some believe that China will remain one of the most influential powers in the world for decades to come. Others believe that demographic changes, debt, global competition, and economic challenges may slow them down. The reality is that the future is not yet certain. But history has already proven one thing. China is a prime example of how a country can radically transform its economy, infrastructure, technology, and industry in a few decades. This story is not just about one country. It is a story of planning, long-term investment, hard work, innovation, and change. The answer to where the world will move in the next 10, 20, or 30 years will largely depend on the decisions of the world's major economies. And China will undoubtedly be an important name in that discussion. So what do you think, ***? Will China become the world's most powerful economy in the future, or will new challenges stop them? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more informative documentaries like this. Thanks for watching. See you in the next documentary, ***.